Hi everyone, I am delighted on this episode of Words, Images, and Worlds to be in the back cave of one Dr. Richard Rick Olson. Dr. Olson, Dr. Batman, thank you for joining me for a talk.
Well, I appreciate in the Google world, my author name is Dr. Richard A. Olson because there's so many Rick Olsons.
hmm
And there's even another Dr. Richard Olson that writes, but Rick or Dr. Batman's fine for today.
Perfect, wonderful. All right, well, I am, of course, sporting my Captain America shirt, and you have an image of you dressed as Captain America. Stan, do we have that picture? There is no stand. It's just me. I always wanted to kind of like call to somebody as though I have a stage manager, but we'll go ahead and get that picture up on the screen now so we can be twinning. So there's that. And it appears you and I have an affinity, a common affinity for the Batman character as well.
Just a lot, and that leads right on to Zorro for me.
Mm-hmm. Really nice
Batman.
sort of weaving with those characters.
Well, yeah, Bob Kane grew up a Zorro fan. He even had a Zorro club in his neighborhood from the 1919 Douglas Fairbanks Sr. movie.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I get to write Zorro stories now too. So, well, that's one I didn't have on my bucket list, but yay.
That's cool. That is very cool. And you're also known for a character named Nick Steele as well.
Yes, Nick Steele is a private investigator. It's very much like Humphrey Bogart, Sam Spade, Philip Marlowe, but he's got the temper and anger of Mike Hammer, so he's kind of a dual
Mhm.
player. In Peoria, Illinois, which is where I reside, is famous for the whiskey capital of the world before
Nice.
Prohibition, almost 100 distilleries and breweries. And then also vaudeville and burlesque. If it plays in Peoria, it plays anywhere, is a famous saying. So I set my character in 1930s Peoria, which is also home of the infamous Shelton Gang.
Mm.
And I even give lectures at universities about the Shelton Gang. I become a historian by all my research. Capone would even mess with it. We're talking like 100 people running this town. It's very organized.
Wow. Wow.
So a
Yeah.
lot of history in my backyard.
Yeah. And now you are a doctor of what's the way to say this? Chiropractoring?
You could say doctor of chiropractic or a chiropractic physician.
Nice.
In Illinois, I actually am a physician. I'm under the Medical Act, so I can deliver kids, suture, do everything in Illinois.
Oh
We don't
wow.
prescribe drugs. I'm also an acupuncturist, so I speak a few Oriental languages and an ex-martial artist, so I kind of like that Oriental side of it too. And then in 2022, I started publishing books.
Wow. Yeah, I love the varied approach that you've taken to life. And I have a PhD in literacy, so between the two of us we are a paradox. A paradox.
A paradox, a plethora of ideas and stories.
That's right. That's right. What led you to storytelling? Was it Batman? Was it Zorro? Or was there some other character or story in there somewhere?
Well, let's go back to the roots. I'd say Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Mm-hmm.
When I was in fourth grade, I discovered Tarzan and John Carter of Mars. So I started reading
Nice.
those then. And I was a combination jock, literary person, I guess. So about that time, Doc Savage came out in paperbacks, which was really huge. And I think I read the complete Sherlock Holmes twice by the time I was 12 years old. So that was just kind of ingrained in me. And at 12, I discovered Humphrey Bogart in movies like that. So it's
Nice.
been a way life. And then the last one might be old radio plays like Green Hornet, The Lone Ranger, The Shadow. When I was in sixth grade, I wrote a Halloween story, a werewolf story that the principal actually had me read over the intercom for the whole school. And they said, "Oh, you're going to be a writer." And then, of course, I write some in college. Then you become a doctor. And then for 30 years, I would write stuff about philosophy, nutrition, exercise. So it's time to put my hand at fiction now. So I've been writing fiction for 3 years. I've got 3 books out and a handful of short stories and 2 more books on the way right now, literally.
Wow.
Literally.
Wow. Very, very prolific. Um, so what is your kind of crafting secret? Is there a particular writing process that you go through?
Well, that's an excellent question. I'm going to quote my mom. This is kind of a funny one, Judy. She says, Richard, your stories make sense. So when I write a story, it has to really make sense and fit together. So that's
Mhm.
kind of my bullet or caveat. I don't want, well, on page 20 they did this and 60 doesn't match up. So I'm very into organization. So I'll create a log line, 3 to 5 sentences to describe the story, and then I create an outline or key. And then I go down to a chapter key where I might put 3, 5, 7 things I want in each chapter. And the end of the book is clearly planned out. I don't, I call them pantsers. People right by the seat of their pants.
Mhm. Mhm.
I'm kind of the other extreme. So I'll have, 5 page outline and 20 chapters and everything's exact. Now, when you're writing this process, of course, a new idea comes in, or you twist something, or maybe you say, well, we might skip that chapter, which is occasional. So organization would be my advice for young people. Just really get your outlines going, your keys, make a key to your character too. Have all your characters set out too for reference.
Love it. Yeah. Oh, I was going to ask about mystery writing because I would think that I can't even imagine how you would try to write a mystery without crafting some kind of outline. So it sounds like that's a very key part of the process for crafting mystery too.
Yeah, the Nick Steele stories, they vary. Sometimes they're more of a gun and fist adventure.
Hmm.
Sometimes they're literally a whodunit, uh, or a gem thief or Emerald Star gets stolen. So there's a lot of mystery to what I have. So I try to be real organized on who the bad guys are, and I actually seek in a few clues so you can really try to figure it out. I hate it when they don't put in the clues. It's like so I don't make them over obvious, and I always try to put in some twists. That's hence the word mystery.
Yes.
Uh, I have a border agent character set in the near future, Scott Lund.
Hmm.
The second book set in the publisher, The Man of Tomorrow. Let's see. Men want to be him, women want to be with him, and children look up to him. And his nephew and niece, Zach and Zoe, have teen adventures, and one of them is called Mystery in the Woods. So I've got a young adult book come out with 2 stories. In fact, my daughter wrote the outline for the story, and my son wrote
I
the outline
love
for
that.
his story. And then I put it to words. So that's kind of cool. The next generation is already helping on the writing.
Hmm. Yeah, I love that. No, I'm an English teacher by day. I work with young people, so I am curious about what it's like for you to go from writing like Nick Steele, Adventures at the Border, and then to write something more young adult oriented.
Well, I have different hats, and if you read Nick Steele and The Border Agent, you will swear it's 2 different writers.
Hmm.
Nick
Hmm.
Steele's first person narrative, overlay, dialogue like a Robert Mitchum movie or something. And then Scott Lund is ultra futuristic with XM7s and tablets and texting. And then the third level is, what does a 12 or 14-year-old know or what don't they know? So I have to, pardon me, gang, but I have to dumb it down a little bit because maybe I want to use a professor's word or something. And I'll actually ask my kids, do you know this word?
Hmm.
Yes, no, or I tell it to them once and said, "What? I learned to use it." So I kind of use my kids on the gauge for the teenage stuff. Make the sentences a little shorter, maybe not as many phrases, and verbs and stuff. Adverbs, I guess, would be a better term. So I try to think like the reader, and I don't want to really dumb it down, but you don't want to use, 1930s terms like gams or legs, 2 bits
Hmm.
is a quarter, a fin's a $5 bill, a Roscoe's a gun. I'm sure you know all that dialogue. So the kids are totally different. I even put in movies, like I said, they're on tablets and they're doing screens and they're doing stuff, and I try to make it fun and lively. And I have a lot of humor, corny 30s lawyer jokes, Polish jokes, to modern Chuck Norris jokes, to animal jokes for kids. So I try to always have like honestly lots of action, great characters, and then instead of jump scares, I have like joke choke jumps, I guess, would be kind of a joke, I guess.
Nice, nice. Now, a similar kind of writing question would be, as someone who it sounds like grew up loving pulps and loving comics, what is it like to then go from sort of the reader experience to now getting to share stories that could very easily fall into those areas?
Well, I guess I've been training myself. One of my friends owns a will plug him, Bob Gordon, Acme Comics, Peoria, Illinois. And he teased me, he said, well, you read all the right stuff growing up, so I assume you're a good writer because I read the right stuff. Like that kind of made it simple, right? It's a pleasure actually, almost maybe a little bit like Dungeons and Dragons, being a dragon master. You're creating your story, you're creating your legends, you're creating your template, so to speak. So the imagination's key, having lots of fun and living with the character. And I try to keep things in their, I guess, umbrellas or universes, so things are
Mm,
sensible.
that makes sense. Makes sense. If you could travel back in time and give yourself advice as a young writer, anything that you would say to that young person?
Well, I would have kicked my butt for not for stopping writing in college.
Yeah.
I would have. There's choices at 20. I was a phys ed major at Northern Illinois University. And then I was like, well, do I go in the Air Force, Top Gun fighter pilot? My, I've been a chiropractor since I was 15 because of sports injuries. Uh, so that kind of tore me. And then, deciding to become a doctor was like 5 years a year-round school.
Hmm. Hmm.
But I could have, honestly had a novel come out every year or every 2 years, or, created some of these characters. So life like overtook that, but it's really neat because if you want to transition or retire from your cult career, I have my next career already right in front of me.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Uh, you mentioned you have two books on the way that are currently in process. Anything about what's current or on the way that you'd like to mention?
Well, Dr. Richard A. Olson, if you look at Amazon, my publisher is Bold Venture Press. Rich Harvey does the art, and he's the artist, and then Audrey Prente is my editor in chief. I call her my Wonder Woman.
Mm,
So they republished the first Border Agent under their publishing press name with great art and stuff. And South of the Border is the second book. So the first one is The Border Agent Strikes. A little 400-page thriller. He rescues the President of the United States from attacking Asian army at a super church. 180-page battle. Just, a little venture there.
uh-huh.
And then South of the Border is being edited right now. And kind of a plot tease. 1945 March, a German Electro boot submarine leaves Germany, goes Yucatan Peninsula, goes up a flooded river, and they're carrying Hitler's baby.
Oh, wow.
Then you fast forward 90 years and my story starts.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
what did one kid do over 90 years?
Yeah. For sure. For sure.
Secret Mayan Nazi Empire or whatever, I'm just talking. So that one's being edited now, and then the third Nick Steele book is actually re-proved to re-edit it by me. That just went off to the publisher. Working title, let's see, the first Nick Steele book, if you like Superman, is called A Man of Steel,
Hmm. Hmm.
Stihl, all puns intended. Second book's Peoria Knights because of Peoria and the history. And the third book's I think is going to be kind of like a Peoria versus Hollywood or Peoria and Hollywood Knights. And the novel in that one, most of my books have like a short story, one or two novellas, and a novel. And the novel's gonna blast because his high school girlfriend becomes a world famous actress in Hollywood, and she's accused of murder. So he flies out to Hollywood to see if she's guilty or not. And you know what? Maybe she's not innocent.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
it's a very wild book. It's probably a little more adult than some of my books. But it was just a blast creating, because if a character is deceased, you can use William Powell, Cary Grant, Randolph Scott because they're deceased.
Hmm.
In fact, at one bar, Humphrey Bogart and Philip Marlowe are discussing the script of a movie, and maybe the young people don't know, old movies like Maltese Falcon and The Big Sleep and stuff like that. But Raymond Chandler created Philip Marlowe, 1940s LA kind of a glamour type character. So it's just a blast. So the new Nick Still should be out next year, and I'm hoping the new Scott Lund will be out just a few months.
Cool, cool. You are a busy, busy person, and by the end of this talk, you might have started a third career or a fourth career. One never knows.
Oh, well, thank you. I'll be humble and say nothing. I will have a young adult book out by Christmas too, with the Adventures of Zach and Zoe Lund. Lund Family Mysteries is the title of the series.
Cool.
It said, and Mystery of the Woods is a blast. The Lunds take a vacation. Scott Lund's brother is a forest park ranger, and his sister-in-law is a world famous exotic veterinarian.
Oh, nice. Uh-huh.
People hear the word exotic, they go veterinarian. And they take the kids to Yosemite Park. The kids go to the restroom, find a dead body, tell the parents, of course, the body's gone, but they do find an FBI badge. And the governor's kids have been kidnapped.
Oh,
So
wow.
that's Mystery in the Woods.
Nice.
So
Nice.
that and my daughter had one called Don't Fall In, where the mother and the daughter go to Mexico with the dog, and it might involve quicksand and sinkholes and tropical storms, and that's a pretty good story too.
Nice. I knew instantly exotic veterinarian because I had a student who wrote their research paper for graduation about that job. So very cool. And hello out there to former student if you're listening to this, by the way. Um, so, final official question, and we can touch on anything that we might have missed. I always like to provide that space for anything you want to share about how listeners can get in touch, if there are conventions that you usually attend, social media that you participate in, and things like that.
Very good. Um, we did not mention Zorro formally.
Oh, yes, yes. Yeah.
Venture Press has the rights to Zorro. So it was kind of funny, since they do Nick Still, they do a Zorro anthology. They do like one about every other year plus Zorro, new Zorro material. And she goes, "Hey Doc, we're doing, Zorro story. You should submit a story outline. You know the editor, don't you?" Like, yes, Audrey, I know the editor. My story is instantly accepted, called Outfoxed by a Woman. And they fake her kidnapping, and Zorro goes to rescue her. They capture Zorro, but there's a lot more to find out. So that just came out, Venture Press. So that's a exciting new area. And Zorro, Batman comes from Zorro. Don
Mhm.
Diego, the floppy playboy, comes Zorro at night. Bruce Wayne, Batman, and as we talked earlier, Bob Kane, grew up a Zorro fan. So, in fact, most origin stories are leaving this movie. The movie is a Mark of Zorro,
Mhm. Mhm.
which would be Tyrone Powers, and I think that's probably my favorite Zorro movie, 1939, The Mark of Zorro, Tyrone Powers, and Linda Darnell. So Zorro is a good thing to mention. We try to do everything. There's a QuadCon, the Quad Cities that travels. There's Peoria Con, Windy City Pulp and Paperback Convention up by Chicago in April. I was even at the public library for book signing Saturday. Facebook is Dr. Richard A. Olson, author, or Rick Olson, personal. Of course, you're on Instagram and all that good stuff too. And then a wonderful podcast, like right here, right now. Thank you for the invitation.
Anytime.
Uh, and Amazon is Dr. Richard A. Olson again. And you can Google me. There's actually a lot if you Google me between my different careers and histories. So we just try to share media. The website is drrichardaolson.com. And we have a blast of a newsletter. My wife is like a graphics artist, and we have pictures and arts and jokes of the month. And the newsletter is just fun, just absolute fun. So turkey jokes for this month. I was also a stand-up comedian. Big surprise, right?
Oh, wow. Cool. Cool.
No joke too big or small, give Rick a call. So the joke of the month is, why did the turkey wear a tuxedo?
Why did the turkey wear a tuxedo? I do not know.
He
Do
thought
not
he's
know.
going to the Butterball.
Oh, nice, nice.
The one I wrote, 'cause I actually, about half the jokes in my books I create myself. I actually write them myself and make them up. So the joke I wrote is, why did the turkey want to go to the gangster's house for Thanksgiving dinner?
I am not sure. Why would that be? But I like our parallel back to the beginning talking about Al Capone, by the way. Nice structure.
He didn't want to get the stuffing knocked out of him.
Nice, nice. And now I have some jokes to take to my classroom as well. This is
As a
perfect.
doctor, I would tell jokes on Fridays. They'd come in, what's the joke today, doc, And I said about half the jokes I wrote myself, and I have thousands of jokes, and 100 of them might be funny.
Nice. Yeah, yeah.
I'm having a
Comedy
blast with
is
you.
hard.
Say that again?
Comedy is hard.
Oh, okay.
That's what they say.
I love joy, so joy and laughter is just great things. Yeah, the joy of the Lord is my strength is actually a Bible verse. So
Yeah, yeah. I'm a fruit of the spirit kind of person as well. So yeah.
that's Nehemiah 8:10, just to tell you where to look it up. But hey.
Cool, cool. I was throwing back to Galatians 5 there. That was a little Galatians 5.
The due season. The gift. The gifts. Joy is one of the gifts there too, right?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah. Well, and to quote somewhere else, they will know us by the love we have for each other. So hopefully you felt welcomed here and appreciated.
Very much so. You're an excellent host and great questions and easy to get along with. So maybe I might get invited back again after the book comes out. You never know.
Absolutely. I would love to do that.